It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello everybody, happy Friday the 13th. It feels so good to be back. Had a really nice opportunity last week to kind of recharge the battery a little bit, if you could say that. Had a really good time just kind of unplugging for a while. You know, what is it, on the 7th day? God rested. We were supposed to do that on the weekends. You know what, sometimes after a couple of years you just need to disconnect for a week or so. So welcome back to the program. Thank you for sticking around. My name's Brian Engelman. I'm going to be your host, as I have been for the past 3 years. And there's a whole heck of a lot on our plate right now. We are right in the thick of things. In the NBA Finals, the Spurs are up 3-1. I mean, how quickly things can change, how quickly your fortunes can change in the NBA. I mean, it was not long ago where the Spurs lost at home and the Heat were looking really good at 1-1. Looking really good. But that's why you play the games. Spurs are up 3-1. We're going to bring an NBA scout, Zak Baris. Lifelong Cleveland sports fan, by the way. Because that's what we do here. A lot of Cleveland sports.
Has been forwarded to...
Oh, of course. Thanks, Zach. Hey, I'll take this moment while we try to get Zach back on the phone to tell you that we are going to ask you to check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, because, well, there's going to be a lot of things happening coming up here in the next few months, and there's so much content to dig through. You know, we're not a 24-hour news outlet. We don't have thousands of people working for us. You know, it's a very small outlet, so when you get a chance to scour back through content over the past 3 years, it's all there at thenewamericanmedia.com. Also, please click subscribe, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. On Twitter, we're at American_media_, and on Facebook, do a search for The New American Media with space in between and like our page. I think both Twitter and Facebook are located at the bottom right of our homepage as well, if you want to try it that way. So let's try to get Zach back on the show. See if we have some better luck this time.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Zach, you're live on the air. Doing great. How are you, sir?
Been busy.
Yeah, I know. So busy you couldn't answer your phone the first time?
When did you try calling me?
Go back to the videotape.
I don't have any missed calls.
Just 1 minute ago. But it's all good. Welcome to the show, man. I know we kind of took last week off because I had to unplug and disconnect, so I was a little out
I
of
was
it.
in Miami last week and San Antonio, so it's been a long couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you weren't in the opposite cities when they were playing. You were there. Were you at the games, actually?
No, I was in opposite cities.
Oh, okay, so you were doing the thing I was just joking that you couldn't have possibly been doing. Why would you do that?
Yes, I was. So last week when games 1 and 2 were in San Antonio, and I was in San Antonio for games 3 and 4, believe it or not.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll believe it, but I got to know why in order to understand it and believe it.
I had work I had to do, so it was, I had meetings down in both cities, so took care of them and left San Antonio yesterday afternoon and got back last night. So it worked out perfectly. I got home in time for the game.
Well, let's talk about the games real quick. If you're not following Zach, you should follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. Let's talk about those games. I just kind of led the show with, when Miami stole one on the Spurs home court, and we're going back to Miami, tied 1-1, you kind of went, oh boy, wow, that was clutch. Here we go, Miami's got this, and they have just derailed, and the San Antonio Spurs have just come out like a team possessed. Let's talk about the progression of the games.
Miami
1 through 4.
never had any business winning game 2. It was more of the Spurs losing game 2, and then, part of me thought, I always said I could see the Spurs winning in 5. I remember I said that in the show a couple weeks ago. I said I could easily see the Spurs winning this thing in 5. And when Miami took game 2, I'm sitting there going, okay, I think the Heat are going to take this in 6. I go, it's just what it's shaping up to be. And, and then what happens is San Antonio gets up to this hot start, but they cannot maintain their lead. They slow down the pace in game 2. They could have blown it open just like they did in game 3 and 4. And they didn't do it. Miami hung in there. They hung around. San Antonio missed 4 straight free throws towards the end of the game. Really put them away. And it was the end of that. Miami stole game 2, and I said, okay, we got ourselves a series. It's either going to be Miami in 6 now or San Antonio in 7. But I did think San Antonio originally could win this thing in 5. And after going at it and looking at games 3 and 4, Miami stands absolutely no chance in the series with the way they've played. Dwayne Wade looks old. Bosh has been taken out of the series. I think he did a total of 21 points or something in the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. And Mario Chalmers, the Heat supporting cast other than Ray Allen, has been non-existent. And you look at the exact opposite for San Antonio. I said last year, San Antonio is a much better team this year than they were a year ago, and Miami's not nearly as good as they were a year ago. San Antonio's had much better talent off their bench this year. Boris Diaw's playing like he's a man on a mission for his new contract. Patty Mills, who didn't even get any playing time, who's always been a favorite of mine, has been great in the series. Ginobili especially, who didn't show up last year. It was just terrible. Basically helped the Spurs lost the series, partially because of Manu. He was terrible. And now you go and look at it, and Manu's been fantastic. Everybody on the Spurs has been great. Thiago Splitter, who last year was terrible in the finals, has been great this year. I mean, his passing skills have been off the charts. He's rebounding. And San Antonio just looks like the team that wants it more. They look like the team that was a better team last year and lost because, they just didn't play well, and Miami did. So, but I don't even think bearing 2 50-point performances from LeBron over the last 2 games would have still even put Miami. I mean, that's just how much better San Antonio is right now than Miami.
Well, let's break that down into 3 different components. Number 1, why are the Heat not as good as they were last year? What makes the Spurs better? I mean, obviously you talk about Boris Diaw.
The Heat supporting cast just around. Okay, Dwayne Wade hasn't been as good. That's number 1, especially. LeBron's still putting up great numbers, but you're not getting the production out of. You don't have Mike Miller, who was terrible all last season, but was fantastic in the finals. Fantastic. He was raining 3 after 3 last year. Remember, he had a game, I believe he went 5 for 5. Shane Battier has barely played, and he just hasn't gotten the job done. Ray Allen has played well, but, besides that, that's about it. Miami just isn't getting the production from anybody outside of LeBron.
Okay, and the Spurs being that much better of a team, I mean, we talked about Boris Diaw and Patty Nelson, but, what, other than those two, what's making the Spurs this much better this year?
I mean, just alone, like I said, Patty Mills has been great. He's been draining almost every 3. Thiago Splitter was terrible last year, and so was Manu Ginobili. Both of them have done a complete 180 from where they were a year ago in the finals. And Boris Diaw has been a huge X factor. He could arguably be the MVP of the series.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of thinking Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, well, Kawhi Leonard was great last year. That's what I'm saying, though. Kawhi Leonard was great last year. He was not great in games 1 and 2. You look at Kawhi Leonard going at 100% in games 3 and 4. San Antonio's a different team. I mean, Kawhi Leonard looks like a top 5 player in the NBA.
He looks amazing.
He looked great.
Well, you know who Patty Mills reminds me of, too? Reminds me of J.J. Barea on another team that took down the Heat in a championship series.
Yeah, similar style of play in that series. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit. I never really thought of that comparison, but
because they had trouble with him in that series. The little guy, the short and darty very, I don't know, darty, if that's an adjective. But I mean, Tim Duncan has been scratched from games before, did not play. Reason? Too old. And this team, what are they, 14, 15 years away from their first championship? I mean, you figure that this team might start feeling their age a little bit more than the Heat. Do you find it weird that it's not happening that way?
Other than Duncan, though, they're not they're not incredibly old. Yeah, Manu, Parker, and Duncan are all relatively older.
But those are their three main players. Those are their big three, though.
But the thing is, Kawhi Leonard's there now. You've got Borussia. You've got Danny Green. You've got Patty Mills. Tony Parker's still an elite player. He's not that old. And it's at the point where if San Antonio can reload, if San Antonio can keep reloading, they managed to steal a lot of the European players late in the draft, whether it's Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Thiago Splitter. They got Patty Mills. They stole Danny Green out of, he's playing in Europe right after he got released from the Cavaliers. And like I said, I'm telling you right now, if Danny Green was on the Cavaliers, I want to make this noted to all Cleveland fans. Danny Green would not be putting up these kind of numbers if he was a Cleveland Cavalier with that supporting cast.
Yeah,
one of the reasons he's able to do it is because he's a fifth option in that offense, and he's able to get a bunch of open looks. In Cleveland, he would not be getting those open looks.
Because there weren't, you kind of have Kyrie Irving and Dion Waiters, not really the, well, you know what, okay, yeah. All right, he's not getting those looks in Cleveland for whatever reason. But, I mean, you watch the ball movement skills of the Spurs. I mean, they are whipping it around this court. And I remember, what did Mike Brown, he came from the San Antonio Spurs organization, and he called it, what do you call it, the hockey pass? So it was like the hockey assist or something where you could be like the second person.
It's almost like, the thing with Mike Brown is when you take these coaches and you pluck them off of coaching trees, it's almost as if, the Spurs are the Patriots of the NBA. They really are. Tell me when you find one of the assistant coaches that actually does a great job as a head coach in the NBA. Actually, I take that back because Doc Rivers is there and Tom Thibodeau, and both have been fantastic NBA coaches. So I take that back.
No,
Mike Brown really hasn't done anything, and Vinny Del Negro hasn't done anything. So although Mike Brown did get a team to the championship, but
Mike Brown got him there, or LeBron got him there. That's
But still, a coach. It still has to be recognized as the coach that he did go. But there have been. Like I said, this is definitely a different year. But I think this essentially ends. And I think people in the national media are saying now, "Oh, this has no effect on LeBron whether he stays or goes." My ass. That's when people say, "What do you have to say to that?" I say, "My ass," and they go, "Why do you say that?" I go, "You're going to tell me LeBron's going to opt in for another year to go play along with these bums, and not win again? Miami will win the East again next year, most likely, because it's LeBron against a bunch of nobodies. But going up against San Antonio again next year, Miami would stand no chance. San Antonio would probably beat them in 4 next year. Dwayne Wade's only getting older. They're not going to have Ray Allen most likely next year. They definitely will not have Shane Battier. The odds that they have Chalmers and Norris Cole, you're talking about filling all these guys in with veteran contracts. Veteran minimum. That's it. And one guy at the mid-level. That's all you're getting. So I really don't believe that Miami. It really would. I would be very, very just surprised if LeBron went back to Miami. Now, I'm not saying this is going to put him in a Cavalier uniform, but I'm at the point today where I'm thinking after last night's game and talking with some people around the league, talking with friends of mine who are well connected, and a lot of people are in the belief now that if LeBron is to opt out this offseason, if Miami loses, that it most likely will be Cleveland.
And we've been saying that for a long time.
I'm getting closer and closer to thinking that again because you're telling me if you're LeBron, you can play with Wade and Bosh. Okay, at this point, I'm sure LeBron can help coach up Kyrie. If not, Kyrie's very tradable. You can get almost anyone in the league for him you want. I'm not saying they're going to trade Kyrie.
But you could if LeBron came in and said, "Yeah, this ain't working, kid." You could trade him for anyone.
Exactly.
He's young. He's got skill.
Exactly. You can have almost anyone you want in the league besides Kevin Durant for him, and and a couple other players here and there, but mainly you could have almost anyone you want. And with that, LeBron can come in with Kyrie Irving. Let's say they do take Joel Embiid number one. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. We're getting way ahead of ourselves because I want to cover all this stuff.
I'm just constructing where LeBron's thinking point comes
right.
from.
Well, here's what I want to do though. Before we even get to Joel Embiid and wondering if the Cavs can take on LeBron and another max contract, I want to just play you the LeBron's clip right here, basically kind of summarizing what you're talking about.
Us up in a position where it is about making history. But all we can do is worry about Game 5. We got to worry about Sunday first. Try to go up there in a hostile environment where we was able to steal one in Game 2, and try to get another one and go on from there. Obviously, I do know the numbers, and it's never been done before, but we feel we're still a confident bunch, even though our heads is a little down right now. Of course, being down 3-1 and losing 2 straight games at home. It's just a human nature, but, we still got to go out and play on Sunday. I mean, they smashed us. 2 straight home games, got off the awful starts. They came in and was much better than us in these 2 games. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and they bring that stuff up. Of course, that's not that's not the title of this article, but it's saying that the Heat's success or failure in these finals will not affect LeBron James' decision on whether to opt out of his contract by the end of the month, according to a source with knowledge of the situation. I just kind of wanted to hit update there to kind of get us on the same page because, we've been saying forever what happens if the Heat win a championship will hugely determine LeBron's move. But I interrupted you there with Joel Embiid.
Maybe he's already made up his mind about opting out then.
Of course he has.
From the people that I've talked to, I'm not going to reveal any names, but from the people that I've talked to, they said if Miami were to win this year, LeBron would have been opting in no matter what. And if he loses, he would probably not be opting in. He'd most likely be opting out. Now, this is a different series. If Miami were to take this to 7 and lose in the final shot, LeBron would probably be opting in this year going, okay, you know what, we've got a chance to win this. We lost on a fluke play. We almost won this series. Let's come back. Let's go kick their asses again. Let's beat them next year. Different story than getting your ass whooped in 5 and thrown off the court, basically.
Whooped.
That you're not even good enough to play in the same gym as them.
Yeah.
This is a whole different story. And no matter where LeBron goes, I tend to think he stays in the Eastern Conference, even if he leaves Miami, because the East is so easy to get through. You're already in the championship if you've got LeBron James on an Eastern Conference team.
Who are the other good teams in the East? You got the Bulls.
There are no other good teams in the East.
Well, the Bulls are okay. The Nets are okay.
There's the Pacers, and that's it. And Indiana looked very vulnerable down the stretch.
Would LeBron join any of those teams, is what I'm saying? The Bulls or the Nets or the Pacers or the Knicks?
He can't join the Nets. He will not join the Pacers. I can tell you that right now.
Why wouldn't he join the Pacers?
They don't have the cap room for him. He's not going to go play in Indiana.
I know. I'm just saying. I know the places and things I'm
like
always
the
hearing.
only relatively smaller market that he would play in would be Cleveland.
I kind of tend to agree with that, yeah.
His kids are going back to school in Akron next year.
Wait, where were they going to school the past few years? I don't follow.
Miami. They had to move down to Miami. They're moving back to Akron.
Wait a second. The kids have been playing. They've been in school in Miami for how many years? For
I think 2 or 3.
And now
after LeBron's first year down in Miami, they came down there. And
now they're relocating to Cleveland.
Back to Akron, yes. He's building a 35,000 square foot addition onto his house. In Akron.
How big was his house before? No, before the
addition
addition though. How many square feet was the house before the addition?
30 something.
Okay, so now he's at 70 something.
It'll be around there, 60 something, around 70. Yeah.
Hey, man, you know what though? He's getting Beats by Dre money. You heard that story, right? He's rocking it off the court.
Oh yeah, I mean I heard that he just got $30 million in cash.
Yeah, hey, let's build an addition too. I need a few more movie theaters. I don't know, an Alligator Park, whatever. Okay, so his kids are going to school in Akron now, and they haven't been for the past several years. I had not heard that anywhere.
I had heard that the other day. So
interesting. Okay, so that being the case, let me get back to where I interrupted you before. Let's say the Cavs with Kyrie Irving get LeBron James, and for the sake of argument, draft Joel Embiid.
I think that's a possibility. I think it's either going to be Embiid or Wiggins at this point. If Embiid's back checks out, I think it's going to be Embiid. And if you're LeBron, you're looking at it and going, okay, I'm looking to win championships down the road. This is going to be my last big contract that I signed. So am I going to go to L.A. and play with Kobe Bryant? No. I don't think that one happens.
The end of a Kobe Bryant, the end of an era.
I don't think the Clippers can realistically make it work. I really don't. I mean, I think it's a possibility, but I don't think it'll happen. I tend to think he stays in the Eastern Conference, and I think if he opts in, he can go with the Knicks in a year and play with Melo, which I don't see happening because I can't see, especially LeBron getting booed off his home court last night was pretty. Those fans should be ashamed of themselves. He's won 2 rings there. He's won 2 rings. He's taken the 4 straight titles. You can't win everything. Can't win every game. Can't win every one. To be booed off and having your fans leave in the early part of the third quarter is ridiculous.
Well, let's remember the Celtics series where the Cavs fans were booing too.
Yeah. I mean, but there's a different story. It's not like the Cavaliers got 2 championships out of it.
I'll give you that. Fair enough. All right.
There's a difference. And going and looking at this and assessing the situation, saying LeBron can play with Kyrie, he can play with, let's just say it's Joel Embiid. Then what you do is you can move. The thing is, there are guys that are tradable on that team. Bennett is tradable, believe it or not. Tristan Thompson is tradable. Dion Waiters is tradable. They are all tradable. And don't forget another scenario, too, where if LeBron does leave Miami and they do stink for a year to get under the luxury tax again, the Cleveland owns their first-round pick in the following year, next year.
You've brought that up, and this wasn't part of the assets that we've traded away, these late first-round picks and the second-round picks, all the things, the little maneuvers we've done to try to get
they've kept
Spencer Hawes. And okay, so they kept it. Remind us of what happened here, because you've talked about this before, and now you're reminding me about it again. This is possible that they could do a pump and dump on their entire team, like after the Shaquille O'Neal was gone, in order to rebuild again. And in that horrible year, the Cavs own that first-round pick. Set me straight on that. Did I get that close?
So I don't know what the protection is on the pick. I honestly have no clue what the protection is on the pick. Let's assume there's no protection, though. So if Miami just stinks next year, Cleveland would own their first-round pick. And Cleveland also has a future lottery pick from Memphis, which could be very valuable, too. Cleveland has a lot of assets, unlike Miami, to move. They have a lot of young kids they can move in their contracts right now. They have a lot of very, very tradable players.
Okay.
So
yeah, because if you think about it, an aging Dwayne Wade would, if LeBron leaves, he would be the linchpin. If he leaves, Wade would probably stay. But I mean, you could see Bosh going at that point, couldn't you?
If LeBron leaves, I think Bosh is gone too, and I think Bosh goes to Houston or Dallas.
But Bosh wouldn't follow LeBron like a puppy dog.
No, I don't think so. And that's not saying he won't, but the thing is, if LeBron leaves for Cleveland, Cleveland can still bring in another max player. I still think they could wind up trading for Kevin Love or another established player, whether it be Eric Bledsoe, whether it be another player. But I tend to see them, if you get LeBron, you're going to have your choice of someone else. People will want to play with LeBron. They will, whether it is Cleveland or not. It doesn't matter. If people want to play with LeBron, they're going to sit there and they're going to want to play with LeBron, Kyrie, and the number 1 overall pick, whoever that might be, because you're looking at a young flux of talent on a roster that no other team has in the league. You're looking at a team that could win multiple championships. People are going to stick it out. It's not like Cleveland, honestly, is not that bad of a city. It really isn't. There's a lot of development right now. I'm not going to even sit here and get into this, but it doesn't deserve the rap it gets. It has a bad rap because they haven't won a championship in years. But it's not to say where if Cleveland does go out and do that, you can win multiple championships. I mean, a lot of them because you're such a young core. This isn't like you're constructing a roster of around a bunch of 27 and 28-year-olds, where it's going to be good for 3 to 4 years. You're constructing a roster around Kyrie Irving, LeBron, who's 29, Kyrie Irving, who's 22. Let's say you get Wiggins or Embiid, you're looking at a 19 or 20-year-old, and whoever else they might bring in, and you're looking at a young supporting cast around them too.
Yeah, and you have Dion Waiters and Anthony Bennett with a lot of upside if they can kind of take some steps forward next year.
I tend to think that the Cavaliers would be trading 1 or 2, if not all 3 of those guys for other players.
And Tristan, right.
I don't know what to do. I tend to think Thompson would be moved in a heartbeat. I tend to think the one player you might keep would be Bennett or Waiters, one of those 2. And you go from there. But the Cavaliers do have a lot of pieces they can maneuver around. They can, I don't. The national media doesn't give them any attention, and they don't deserve any yet. You got an owner right now who puts this, who really has gone a step too far. And Dan Gilbert, he's gone a step too far. Going after you just hire a GM and then going around his back, and then trying to hire a coach and give him full control of basketball operations is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
And then the reports are, of course, explain that though, because this is insane.
And the reports are that they offered him upwards of $80 million
for John Calipari, but the Cavs GM did not know about it.
Here's the thing, and I'll tell you this right now. If LeBron says, I want John Calipari as my coach, Calipari would leave Kentucky in a second and take that job again. There's a reason why the Cavaliers are interviewing every single person they possibly can. They're not going to make a move until they know what the deal is at the end of the NBA Finals, until they can get word from what LeBron's doing, and then they're going to go and proceed from there. I'm telling you, everything I've said so far has been completely on point about LeBron. Everything. That the Cavaliers would wait on every single move they made. They're not even going to tell you who they're going to draft right now. If LeBron says, I'm coming back, I want Andrew Wiggins, fine. The Cavaliers will select Wiggins. If LeBron goes, okay, I think Embiid's a better fit for our ball club, I'm signing with you guys in 10 days right after the draft, boom, there it goes. Joel Embiid, that's just how it's going to go. It's weird how it's going down, but that's how it's going down. The Cavaliers are listening. Every move right now, if the Cavaliers wanted to coach right now, they would have done it. But everything is, they're trying to get every move dictated by LeBron right now, and LeBron's not ready to sit there and make a move until Miami either wins or they're eliminated.
Let me talk about Miami for a second, because another report had the possibility of there being a big four down in Miami with everybody taking further pay cuts and bringing Carmelo in.
I'm not going to say I'm sitting there betting my life, but what is the incentive for LeBron to do that?
Another championship?
I don't even know if adding Melo makes them a championship team this year. I don't know if I still don't know if they can beat San Antonio.
Makes them more of a globetrotter team, at least.
I'm being 100% serious. The problem is right now is Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade's not going to sit there and just retire tomorrow and then suddenly bring him Melo. Someone said the other day, they're like, I was talking to someone last night, and they go, well, I think Miami's going to tell Boss to step to the side, go take a contract somewhere else and say, hey, Dwayne Wade, retire. And then say, okay, listen, we'll bring in Melo and bring in another young crop of stars. We'll bring another crop of stars. One, Miami's way too deep in the luxury tax. They cannot surround him with multiple talent other than 2 stars. That's it. That's all you get in Miami with the pay cut. LeBron can sign a max deal with Cleveland, bring in another max star in Cleveland, and go out there with the number 1 overall pick. And you already have that young cluster of talent. I'm not saying that those are the guys LeBron would be playing with. It doesn't mean he's going to be playing with Waiters, Bennett, and Thompson. I'm saying what it gives is the Cavaliers, it gives them possibilities to go make a move. Because people want the young talent. People are looking to shed salary and get rid of guys. And move players around. It's just how the league works. Teams are looking to get younger. Maybe a team will give up on a 29-year-old in order to get the 20-year-old Anthony Bennett, who has a load of potential.
And a way smaller salary.
Yes. There you go.
Interesting. So the Cavs essentially are set up in a really good position despite having fired the same head coach twice in the past 3 years and going through another GM after Danny Ferry.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's stopping it right now is ownership. I think that's the only downside to this organization right now is Dan Gilbert. I think Dan Gilbert's on his last leg with Cleveland fans if he doesn't pull this off.
Because he's working like a madman to make it happen.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, he's pissed off a lot of Clevelanders and the fact that, he's promised winning after LeBron left. Well, 4 straight years of losing pisses off a fan base. You promise a phase 2 of a beautiful casino that and you build a great one in Cincinnati, that Cleveland gets an old Higbee building. Cleveland didn't get a phase 2 like they were supposed to. Dan Gilbert is another empty promise for him. Everything about Gilbert, he hasn't delivered on anything in 4 years now.
Zach,
will
you be running for mayor of Cleveland?
No, absolutely not.
Another empty promise from Dan Gilbert. I got it.
I'm just saying though. It's one thing after another from Dan Gilbert at this point, and I'll believe it when he has a new project downtown. I'll believe it. I'll see it.
All right.
But nothing right now. Yeah, they have the casino. It's lovely. It's great, but Wait till you build phase 2 where there's actual shops and retail along with it. Until then, fine. And I'm sitting here at the point saying, okay, this is the only thing preventing LeBron from coming home. And Dan Gilbert's ready to get on his hands and knees and give LeBron total control of his franchise now. Something he vowed he wouldn't do years ago after he left.
Yeah, he knows how much money he cost him.
I think that's the funniest part about it. He's sitting there willing to give LeBron full control again, basically like he didn't have input in decisions. You don't see LeBron having that in Miami with Pat Riley.
I see. Well,
I think he has some say,
on.
but I don't think he has like he did with Cleveland.
Well, maybe, but ask Pat Riley now in this 1 game away from LeBron opting out. Ask him now.
Oh yeah, for the offseason, yeah, I think he would give him. I think he would give him every opportunity to make a decision. Yeah. But I'm just saying.
Pat Riley would probably he'd probably do a hair transplant with LeBron's receding hairline with his awesome, iconic, slicked back hair just for the chance to stay on the Heat right about now.
I can just tell you all the delusional Laker fans who think, oh yeah, we'll give up the 7th pick and we'll get Kyrie Irving. Cleveland's not stupid enough to do that. They're not going to give up the 7th pick for Kyrie. What is Cleveland going to do with the 7th pick in the draft? They're not getting equal value. If Cleveland wanted equal value, I would go. If I was going to trade Irving, I'd go to Philadelphia, and I still don't think Philly would do this. I go, give me 3, 10, and Michael Carter-Williams, and you got yourself a deal. That's what I'm taking for the number. That's what I'm taking for Kyrie Irving if I'm giving him up.
The 3, the 10, and Michael Carter-Williams.
Yes.
Huh. Not that these things are really being bad. Hell,
it's not even being discussed.
Right.
Saying, though,
I understand
Laker fans are so delusional at the point where they're going, oh, we can get Kyrie for number 7. I'm like, oh, God.
Let me ask you, how often do teams communicate? Because you're more behind the scenes, obviously, being an NBA scout, but how often are trades brought up with different organizations? How often are just just want to check? Like if you've seen the movie Draft Day.
There's just talk all the time. I mean, there's literally talk all the time.
And how often that stories are leaked to Stephen A. Smith trying to get something going or trying to squash something? How often is that done?
No, there's times when a team, I'm sure 25 teams have called the Cavaliers. I'm sure. About Kyrie Irving's availability.
Yeah, of course. And the availability of the number 1 pick and everything.
A lot of teams, what they'll do is, and here's exactly what you get. Here's a sample phone call. You go, hey, David Griffin, what's Kyrie Irving's availability? Not available. Bye. That's it. That's what you're getting. It's not going to sit there and have a long conversation with the GM of Milwaukee going, well, what will you give me for Kyrie? He's not sitting there saying, he goes, not available. Now, that doesn't mean if,
Wait, hold on. So maybe it could be, though, say I'm with Milwaukee. I could say, hello, Cleveland. Hey, I want to check on the availability of Kyrie. Is he available if we put the right trade together? Not available. And then I could say, oh, okay, I just wanted to check because we would be willing to offer the best player on our team and the number whatever pick for him if you wanted to consider that in the future. Maybe I'll give you a call next Friday. All right, have a great weekend. Tell Shannon I said hello. One of those and plant the seed.
It's stuff like that. Now, just because you listen doesn't mean a guy's available. There are plenty of teams that listen to trades all the time. They'll sit there and listen because then they know how they can play their hand. They know how a team's desperate, how a team wants their player.
I would love that job.
What can we get out of this team to get, okay, maybe we can pluck 5 players for this one guy, or maybe we can get a bunch of high picks for him. Okay, we're going to move him. But Cleveland's now offering Kyrie, and from the person I spoke to, as if, I believe it was a week and a half ago, it was right before I went to Miami, they said to me, I said, is Kyrie unhappy in Cleveland? He goes, is he not unhappy in Cleveland? He goes, I don't know where that's coming from. He goes, I really don't.
Yeah, that's right. I spoke with you during our week off last week. You gave me a call. You're like, dude, here, check this out.
And I can tell you right now, the person I spoke with basically said that Kyrie Irving is not unhappy in Cleveland. They said, though, he was upset with the rumors going around because he doesn't know who's spreading them. He never said that. He's sitting there. I have a feeling when they present that extension to him on July 1st, he will sign it.
Is it going to be a max deal?
Yes.
Would they have to coordinate if they were going? Because if LeBron had the big 3 down at the Heat, okay, and I mean, out of any place LeBron might consider going outside of Miami, his kid's already enrolled back in school in Ohio, according to reports now. You are our source on that.
I believe that's what it is for I believe that's what it is for next year. I'm almost positive on it. I've heard that. So, I'm not saying I don't believe that would just. I think it's a small reason he would come back to Cleveland. I just don't.
Oh no! Not that it's a small reason he would come back, but maybe the decision has already been made and all the pieces are being put in place. Just like when he filed for number 6 as number 23 in Cleveland. Oh, I'm going to change my number next year. Yeah, because you've had this figured out for a while. Yeah, okay.
Well, that did make a difference because if he did decide to stay in Cleveland, he would have to do it. He doesn't have to file. The thing is, when you're in free agency, you don't have to file for a new number. He could have just taken 6. So the whole filing, that was totally blown out of proportion. Him filing for number 6 for the following year meant if he stayed in Cleveland, he would switch from 23 to 6. He didn't need that. When he went to Miami, he didn't need to file from 23 to 6.
Then why did he do it? Yeah, why did he do it then?
Because he left his options open in case he decided to re-sign with Cleveland. He was sitting there going, I will be number 6 next year. I tend to think if he returns to the Cavs, I tend to think he'd come back as 23. I don't know that. But maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he probably would come back as 6.
Do we get Clark Kent or Superman?
It's a fresh start. It's a fresh start.
Huh. Wow. Okay, so he didn't need to do that. All right. So then, would LeBron have to court? That's what I'm saying. If the Cavs offer Kyrie Irving a max deal,
they will work their way around it. And the thing is, I will tell you this right now. Another thing to do is if LeBron loses, he will be. He's going to take a lot of criticism this summer for losing the NBA Finals if and when they lose. Now, the difference is, comes back, signs with Cleveland, nobody's going to hate him anymore other than the 12 fans in Miami. It's true, though. If people sit there and go, people won't even talk about LeBron losing the Finals again. It'll be, LeBron's making Cleveland. It'll be a great marketing play for Nike. They'll sit there. He's going home to redeem himself. He's going home to win another title next year. It will be completely almost forgotten that he lost in Miami this year.
That is possible. He's not going to get that pass if he goes anywhere else.
If he goes to New York, he doesn't get the pass at all. Oh, he's jumping to play with another superstar. Goes to L.A. to sign with Carmelo and Kobe. He's jumping ship just to play with another superstar. He's a ring chaser. That's what he is at that point. He goes to Cleveland, he's not a ring chaser. In Cleveland, if he wins one ring, he's a god.
To finish what he started.
Yeah.
All right. So then you would put the odds right now, if you were a gambling man, if you were the type of guy that were setting the wagers, the Vegas odds, percentage-wise, out of 100%, what would your guess be? And it's just a guess, we get that. Percentage-wise, what team does LeBron play for?
This is if Miami loses?
No, well, all of it. You just have to just put it all into perspective.
As of today, I'd put it at 49.99%.
That he plays
in Cleveland next year.
And it's a 50-point.
I don't know. If you lose, it totally changes around. I think a lot of it will have to do whether Miami can restructure the roster, and I don't believe they can. I believe Miami has virtually no shot at restructuring the roster next year around guys, because like I said, I doubt Ray Allen will be there. Shane Battier definitely won't be there. Birdman might not be there. Chalmers won't be there, even though Chalmers has sucked. He's still better than what they could get on the market in free agency. Norris Cole will leave. He's going where the biggest buck is in free agency. Now, granted, I don't think it's going to be that high. But for all we know, Norris Cole could be the backup point guard for the Cavaliers next year.
Norris, grab my bags. We're headed north.
That's something that wouldn't sit there and surprise me. He played at Cleveland State.
He did play at Cleveland State.
He played with LeBron his 3 years in the league. Like I said, that's something where I could see that kind of package happening. I'd expect more like that. If LeBron's going to take anyone from the Heat, it's going to be someone like Norris Cole or Birdman than it is, than Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh. I think that's more of a little bit of a pipe dream. But I think Wade, for him, it's two choices for Wade. It's Miami or Chicago. And that's it. I don't know if the Bulls want him. I know the Bulls wanted him 4 years ago. Do the Bulls still want an aging Dwayne Wade today? At this point, I think I'd take a younger Jimmy Butler who signed way cheaper.
And you look at that contract, and it looks so great 4 years ago, and then you start looking now. It's just like the Albert Pujols deal. It's just like Miguel Cabrera. Fine, it might look okay in the beginning, but look at A-Rod. You know, how many years in before you start going, are you serious? You mean we can't get rid of this? Yeah, you kind of bought it. You break it, you buy it. Good luck.
You know, I can tell you right now, I've been saying all along the Heat's championship window, this is the last year it was open. Been saying that all along. And it looks like I'm right now, because I can tell you, if this team was playing Oklahoma City, they'd probably win the series. They probably would. But San Antonio is a much better basketball team. And it's going to be weird to see. Kevin Durant is a free agent in 2 years. Phil Jackson's already constructing that, you know, team in New York to go after, to make a run after Durant in 2 years from now. You know, that's what's scary about this league. I believe that Phil Jackson, by hiring Derek Fisher, is sitting there saying, if Oklahoma City doesn't win, I've got Kevin Durant or he's going to the Washington Wizards. It's going to be one of the two.
And why the Wizards? Because
it's Durant's hometown, and to play along with Beal and Wall, you've got two budding superstars on that team. Or you're looking at a team where if you add Durant to that roster, they could be lethal.
I always found it weird that Kevin Durant quietly re-signed that large deal.
He did. It was very quiet. But the thing is I think Kevin Durant expects to have multiple championships playing along Harden, Westbrook, and Ibaka. Multiple ones. And if Clay Bennett wasn't such a cheapo, they would have 2 rings by now. They would have won last year. They would have beaten Miami with James Harden. They would have certainly beat them this year with James Harden. You know, but the problem is when you're an NBA owner, you're, like I say this all the time, your window to win a championship is so small. You've even seen it with Miami. They didn't win their first year with LeBron. They had 4 years of it, and they're going to most likely walk out of there with 2 championships. They're not walking out of there with 4 or 5. They're going to probably be walking out of there with 2 of them.
You know,
it is very hard to win multiple championships in a row. Also, you get a fan base that just isn't that hungry anymore. You know, Miami fans have come to expect so much out of this team that losing isn't an option. And suddenly, if you can't achieve perfection, suddenly you're garbage to them. They don't care. It's a very fair weather fan base to begin with a lot of transplants who aren't necessarily from Miami and couldn't give 2 shits. You know, I know all the kids that I went to high school with that live in Miami, they're like, oh, Team Heat, Team Heat. You know, like, give me a frickin' break. As soon as LeBron goes back to the Cavs, you'll be a Cavaliers fan again, and I'll just want to punch you in the face. You know what?
And there were I've read some great lines on the message boards lately. Someone posted Heat fans, and then it was the Heat fan saying, "Hey, I've been a LeBron fan my whole life. I followed his college career, and I've always been a Heat fan since I followed his college career and when the Heat drafted him." You know, stuff like that. Now I've seen another post that says something like, obviously these are parody Heat fan posts because they're claiming to to not be real fans. They said not 1, not 2, not 3 superstars needed to win a championship. You know, so I mean, you're seeing a lot of people across the league, a lot of
like I said,
comedians, keyboard comedians.
Cavs fans out in Arizona. When I was there, and I'd sit around in campus going, "Hey, you're from Cleveland? No, you've never been there in my life. Just a Cavs fan." I'm like, oh God. You know, it's like you're going to see with the Browns this year. There's Johnny Manziel fans everywhere now. There are people turning into Browns fans.
Well, and you could ask that same guy out in Arizona, like, hey, tell me what you think about the Cavs interviewing Mark Price for head coach. Who?
Yeah, he was a good center back in his days.
By the way, what do you think about the Cavs interviewing Mark Price? Because he has some coaching experience, not in the pros.
Like I said, I don't know if it means anything. I think the Cavaliers are going to sit there. There's a reason they're not hiring a coach. There's the same reason the Lakers aren't hiring a coach. It's all because the Lakers are trying to do the same thing as the Cavs are. But I don't think the Lakers have any shot at LeBron. I think they're a mess right now. I think they're run by, Jim Buss is not exactly the most brilliant mind in all of sports. He's not his father who let Mitch Kupchak can take control of the team. He's not even his sister. Jeannie Buss is much smarter than he is. And I think it's unfortunate for LA that they're run by, I think the Lakers are going to be bad for a while. It could be a long while because Jim Buss doesn't know how to run a franchise. So I think the Cavaliers are waiting at the same point. Now, from what I'm hearing is the Lakers might hire Kurt Rambis. From what I saw of Kurt Rambis, he was the league's worst coach a few years ago with Minnesota. The worst in the league.
What makes a coach the worst in the league?
You don't let players play the game how they're supposed to succeed, especially, let's say, Kevin Love. Kevin Love wasn't shooting threes when he was the coach. Rambis didn't want him taking threes. Kevin Love's a good three-point shooter. It helps space out the floor. Kurt Rambis didn't want that. Kurt Rambis, just because you're a great player back in your day, does not make you a great coach.
Okay, so they might bring in Kurt Rambis, but the Cavs are also talking to Mark Jackson, somebody who you were not very high on yourself.
No, it wasn't that it's not that I hated Mark Jackson. It was the fact that
I didn't say you hated him, just that he was.
It's the fact that he clashes with his coaches and clashes with management, and I think that's an issue. The players love him. But when you can't get along with your coaches and you can't get along with your front office, it creates a problem. I've seen it for myself. I know how it is. Especially there's been a front office rift in Chicago for 2 years now between Tom Thibodeau and Gar Forman and Paxson and the rest of that front office. There's a rift in that front office because of what happened. I don't even want to get into it, but if you guys want to look it up, look up Ron Adams, who was Tom Thibodeau's lead assistant, and his contract was not renewed by the front office. There are certain aspects when that goes in there, it does not bode well for success on the court. It doesn't. Because suddenly the GM is going to go and sit there going, okay, I'll bring along this player. I'm not even going to consult with the coach on what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that is the definition of dysfunction. And that's what so many Cleveland franchises have had for a long time.
And that's why I said Golden State had to fire Mark Jackson. It's not that I didn't like Mark Jackson as a coach. It was the fact that the rift between the front office and the coaching staff was so bad you had to do something. You had to.
Well, what do you make of this? Are you familiar with David Blatt, who's just announced that he's making the jump to the NBA, which to me means he already has a deal in place, or else he wouldn't be saying it. But
he has a deal
Golden
in place.
State or the Cavs.
He's either going to be one of the assistant coaches in Golden State, or he'll be the head coach of the Cavs. His deal that's in place right now is to be the assistant for Steve Kerr. That is his deal in place. It's not with the Cavs. Now, I think the Cavaliers could go out and surprise everyone and get David Blatt as head coach. That doesn't mean it's a bad move. It's just an unknown move. It's not something it's not very conventional. Now, it doesn't mean it's not something that's not going to win over teams. It's not, like I said, it's one of those moves. It could be a great move. The guy's won everywhere he's gone. He dominated the Israeli leagues. He dominated the Euro leagues. He dominated it all. But does that necessarily equate to success in the NBA? I don't know. Like I said, I've always tried to stay away from the European game because I didn't necessarily understand it that well. I really didn't. It wasn't something I ever wanted to be a part of. I never wanted to sit there and translate how a European player would suddenly translate into an NBA roster. I never wanted to do that. I have no problem evaluating their games once they come to the NBA. It's just a totally different style of basketball out there, and I never wanted to be a part of that. It's something I never wanted to do. I never wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, we all have preferences and strengths and weaknesses. I tried to play rugby. I came from a football background in high school. Went to a few rugby practices, and I'm like, I've watched some of this. I kind of get it, but I don't get this. This doesn't make sense to me. It's not resonating with me. I'm out. I'm just not feeling it.
And how many of the European players drafted? For every good one, there's a ton of bad ones.
You could maybe say the same about the regular NBA, though.
That's true, but usually you know what you're getting with those guys, ceiling-wise. You know what you're getting. The European guys, for the most part, it's a complete crapshoot. It's like the Pistons taking Darko over Carmelo, Wade, and Bosh.
God, could you imagine what would have happened had they done that?
You knew what those threes' potential were. That's the thing. You knew Bosh was going to be a perennial all-star. You knew that. You knew Carmelo was going to be a superstar. You knew that Dwayne Wade would most likely be an all-star in the NBA. What you didn't know was taking a 17-year-old who was 7 feet tall and weighed 190 pounds. You didn't know how he was going to do. Yeah, his potential was off the charts, but you could have taken a guaranteed star in Carmelo Anthony. And the Pistons, like I said, 1-04, they won the championship. 05, I believe they lost to San Antonio. I don't know if they would have won in 05, but it would have definitely gotten them closer, having Melo instead of Tayshaun Prince. 2006, they lost to Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals after barely beating the Cavs in the semis. I can tell you right then and there, they would have never had a problem. They would have breezed through the Cavs and probably would have beaten Miami that year. In 07, I can certainly tell you that Detroit, with Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, or Chris Bosh, would have probably not, I'm telling you for certain, would not have lost to the Cavs in that series. So, and Detroit fans still look at the goal, we won a championship. I'm like, well, you could have won 3, 4, or 5 if you would have had one of those guys. If you would have had Wade or Melo, you probably would have won a minimum of 3 titles instead of 1.
Well, and that brings up the point that I was going to get to here is, fine, Detroit, you could have won 3, 4, or 5. If the Heat are together for 4 years and win 2, is that a success or a failure?
It depends from what I'm looking at. I mean, for me, I think that's a success. I think LeBron went in there thinking you can win all 4. When's the last team to win 4 straight championships? Has it even been done, or was it done in the 50s or something by the Celtics?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can say that the LA.
I can tell you in the modern era, at least, it has not been done. We've seen 3, and then we saw 3 by the Bulls, 2 for the Rockets, and 3 again for the Bulls. And I can tell you right now, had Jordan played those 2 seasons, would he have won 8 straight titles? We don't know. I mean, maybe he would have lost one of them here and there. But that Bulls team without him won 50-something. They won in the high 50s, I remember. 56 or 58 games in the year he was gone. They were dominant without him. They still had an unbelievable roster.
Well,
don't forget that team had Pippen. They had Kukoc. They had Kerr. They were specialized. They had 2 of the best 3-point shooters in the league, in Kerr and Buechler. Not only they had B.J. Armstrong, too. Then you had Horace Grant. Then you had Dennis Rodman. You went from Horace Grant to Dennis Rodman. You had Luke Longley. You had Robert Parrish. I mean, those teams were so stacked. Those were arguably the best team ever created, the 95-96 Bulls. And
on top of it, if you didn't have Michael Jordan stepping aside, who knows how many they would have rattled off like dominoes clicking together. But you know, part of the reason why you have to ask the question now: will 2 championships in 4 years be a success for the Heat? It's partially because of this that LeBron said. I think you might remember
not
this.
2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Hey. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
I mean, those are pretty.
Here's the reason I look at it to be a success.
Hold on.
And when I say that, I really believe it. You know, I'm not just up here blowing smoke and none of these fans, because that's not what I'm about. I'm about business, and we believe we can win multiple championships if we take care of business and do it the right way.
Okay.
Well, he won multiple championships. He's already gotten 2.
Yeah, multiple would be correct, but not 1,
so,
not 2.
But I do believe it is partial success, partial failure. On the fact that it is successful, LeBron went into Miami without a ring. He's going to leave no matter what with a minimum of 2.
Yeah, that's more than Chuck Barkley has, more than a lot of players have.
Exactly my point. Now, he's 29 years old. That does not mean he's not going to go and sit there and rattle off. I mean, he still might have 3 or 4 or 5 championships left in him. If he goes to the right situation, and I don't think it's Miami, and which is why I think their window is closed. I've been saying that now for almost all season, that if San Antonio got to him, San Antonio was not going to lose to him again. Been saying that all year. You know that.
They're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they look sharp now.
Mm-hmm. And the way I look at it is I'm sitting there saying to myself, what can LeBron do to go to a team next year in order to beat San Antonio? That's got to be his number 1 goal. He needs to go to a young team that can move and space the floor and plays in a very fast pace. They can play at a fast pace. Because San Antonio has been dampened by that in the past. It's something that's really hurt them. When they lost to Oklahoma City 2 years ago in the NBA in the Western Conference Finals, and they were up 2-0 and lost 4-2, it was because Oklahoma City turned up the pace and they didn't slow it down. You know, and it just wore San Antonio out. San Antonio is a different team, though, than they were 2 years ago.
That's true. Every year a team is different, especially 2 years removed. But there's no way you could see the Heat turning it up. I mean, they look gassed. They look exhausted.
And I mean, this is just, you know, Miami also can't run the floor like they used to. They're not, Miami's not at the point where they can go and do that anymore. Dwayne Wade runs the floor like a 90-year-old man.
Yeah, it's kind of sad watching him break down like that. He'll have a good game or two, but you can tell, man, he's a shell of what he used to be.
So, I mean, I'm sitting there saying to myself, I go, okay, this is not going to persist. He's not going to sit there and play with Dwayne Wade next year. Unless Dwayne Wade's signing somewhere for a minimum. But Dwayne Wade's not going to leave $20 million on the table. He's just not.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, if you were LeBron, would you rather look at Kyrie and the number one pick or Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh?
I mean, imagine a team next year, though, where let's just say the Cavaliers take Wiggins. And Wiggins is NBA ready. I know it's going to take him a little while to develop. But you throw Wiggins in there where he's not in the spotlight, I think he gets acclimated pretty quickly. You know, when he's sitting there as a fourth option on offense.
Yeah, and you have a hell of a floor general. LeBron's always been an on-floor
Exactly.
coach.
He'll set up Wiggins perfectly. Wiggins will mature and go from there, and I think he can reach a sky-high potential. Wiggins' potential is off the chart.
You know what that could be then? That could be almost like a David Robinson passing the torch to Tim Duncan kind of deal.
Yep. And another thing you have too with it is all three. I'm just throwing it out there. Wiggins is a Nike guy. LeBron's a Nike guy. Kyrie's a Nike guy. Throw that out there. You've got a marketing dream team in Cleveland. Like I said, I don't care what city they're in. As long as you're not in the market like Oklahoma City, you can still have success. Kyrie gets a lot of publicity for playing in Cleveland. LeBron had a ton too.
Yeah, let me ask you this from an outside standpoint. I mean, obviously, building a superstar team and winning, going to 4 straight finals is going to help. That's something that LeBron never did in Cleveland. So it's hard to compare. And of course, the longer you're in the league, the more your accolades roll up, the more MVPs roll up, the bigger your profile and stature. But is LeBron that much bigger in Miami than he was in Cleveland?
No, he's not at all.
I don't feel that at all. He was the most hated player when he made the switch.
The Heat don't get any more publicity than the Cavs got. I remember the Cavs used to be. I used to like turning on SportsCenter in the morning when I was, back in years like 2007. Nothing made me happier because the Cavaliers with LeBron, they were a championship contender. The Browns were actually relevant, surprisingly. The thing is, when Cleveland teams are good, the Browns actually have a very, very large fan base. When they're a good football team, they get a lot of publicity, and they get it for a reason. There's a reason why in 2008, the Browns had 5 nationally televised games, the most you can have.
Oh, there's a cap on that? I didn't know that.
Yes, you can only have 5 nationally televised games in the NFL.
I did not know that.
Yes. And the Browns had the max that year after going 10-6. They weren't even a playoff team, and they had the max. That's what I'm saying, though. You get Johnny Football in Cleveland. That's why it's not like I enjoy watching sports because everything is, what did Johnny Football have for breakfast? Did Johnny Football take a dump after practice today? That's literally, it's highlighting what Johnny Manziel did every day. It even annoys the crap out of me. But that's SportsCenter. I can tell you right now, if LeBron came back to the Cavs, I would be watching it again. But have I been able to turn it on for the past 4 years? No. Because honestly, I find it annoying. When it's not about my team, I don't care. I don't care when LeBron's chef made him a smoothie for lunch. I don't care.
Hey, you know what? That's why. Listen, that's why I still do the Unhappy Hour, and I've been in Los Angeles for almost 9 years now, and you know what? I still root for my Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes. And if it's not my team, I kind of don't care. But I mean, obviously, like I said, teaming up with D Wade and Chris Bosh in a big 3 and going to 4 straight finals is going to boost your stature and profile. But I don't. So build in a little bit for that. But he's no
superstar than he was.
He's no bigger than he was in Cleveland.
People around the world hate LeBron. That's the difference. He's still very loved in the U.S. Not too many people hate LeBron anymore. A lot of people come over that. But a lot of people in other countries don't like LeBron for what he did. Now, going back to Cleveland, he'd be the most beloved superstar again in the NBA. Everybody would love him. Nobody would have a reason to hate LeBron anymore.
If he wins a championship. Because Cleveland fans would be sitting here like, hold on. You broke up with me to go lose your virginity over there. I've accepted your ass back into my bed, and now you're not going to put out? Are you serious? The Cleveland fans...
Dan Gilbert wrote a letter to LeBron basically, loathing the guy. Yet... He's getting down there on his hands and knees and opening his mouth wide open right now for LeBron.
Wow, that abstract metaphor turned very literal, but I get your point.
Oh yes, I purposely made it that way.
Thank you for that. Nicely done.
He and every other Clevelander are all in the same position right now. Whether they say it or not, I know.
Well, of
I can
course.
tell you right now, as a Cleveland sports fan, I'm sitting there saying to myself, going, okay, if, it's not that I'm rooting against LeBron in these NBA finals. I don't care. I really don't. It's the fact that I'd love to see him in a Cavalier uniform next year. I really would.
Too. I would too.
I think it's great for the NBA. I'm sick of the Miami Heat. I'm sick of the same thing every year. I don't like, it's not that I don't like continuity, but it's the fact that it's just very repetitive at this point.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
Yeah, I get your point. It's starting to, but it is interesting though, because it's how repetitive could it be? The Celtics aren't in it, the Lakers aren't in it, the Knicks aren't in it. So the Pistons aren't in it. There's a lot of perennial strength.
The Knicks have
strong
never
teams that aren't there.
The Knicks haven't won a championship in 40-something years.
Yeah, but they were perennially in the playoffs with Ewing for the whole 90s, and they were a solid and very good team that was competing for that. Maybe not upper echelon, but they were top 30, top 40% of the teams in the league for a decade and a half.
No doubt. Top 10, top 20% of the teams in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But,
they haven't won
with John
one,
Starcell and Houston with Ewing. Well, you said it's not like they've gone out and reeled up a bunch of championships. There's 2 very historic franchises in the NBA, and that's the Celtics and the Lakers. And then in the 90s, you have the Bulls, who just flat out dominated the 90s. But that's it. You have 2 dominant franchises in the sport. It's like in baseball. Your 2 dominant franchises are the Yankees and the Cardinals. There's no way around it. It's not the Red Sox. The Red Sox have been dominant as of late, but it's the Yankees and the Cardinals. Perennially, every year, you can guarantee one of those teams is going to be in the playoffs, let alone most likely a World Series with one of them. It's almost every year, and especially with the Cardinals nowadays. And in football, it's always been a team like the Packers. They're always, for the most part, a perennial contender, or what used to be the Cowboys back in the day, or the 49ers. They're significantly historic franchises in sports. And in the NBA, the only 2 are the Lakers and the Celtics. That's it. There have been other teams that have won, but nothing like the impact of the Celtics and the Lakers.
I'll give you that. And Zach, as we're wrapping this up here, I wanted to ask you, I want to get back to something as we were talking about the Pistons earlier, saying, picking Darko Milicic and instead of Carmelo Anthony and instead of Chris Bosh, instead of all the great players that were available at that point. Let me ask you, you said you know what you're getting, a perennial all-star in Chris Bosh. You know what you're getting with Dwayne Wade. You're getting a perennial game-changing superstar. LeBron James, the consensus #1 pick out of high school. You know what you were getting. What are we getting out of Joel Embiid, out of Jabari Parker, out of Andrew Wiggins?
If Embiid's healthy, you probably get yourself the next Hakeem. If he's healthy, and if his back checks out, which I don't think the Cavaliers can say no to him. If his back checks out and you go through it all, and he's healthy, you know what you're getting. Don't forget, the guy's only been playing basketball for a couple of years. He's going to be a star.
Well, wasn't the same with Hakeem? It wasn't the same with him. With him, he only played for a little while.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing with Wiggins is, you know what his potential is. Now, I think is Parker more of a guarantee than all.
No. Hold on. Let me go back. You know what Wiggins is? No, I don't. Is he a Chris Bosh perennial all-star player? Is he a very good player?
Well,
is he a
that's
superstar?
the thing with Wiggins. There you're going on sky-high potential, which in that, in the case is you're looking at it and saying to yourself, okay, with Parker, we know what we're getting, and the fact that the guy's going to be a scoring machine, he's going to be a perennial all-star in the NBA. With Wiggins, we're looking at a guy that's saying, okay, this guy's the face of a franchise, potentially. Is he going to be the next LeBron? No, but can he be one step below LeBron? Yes. And I think that's at the point where you're looking at him and saying, okay, he's worth the small risk. No matter what, he's going to be a very good NBA player, But, yeah, there is some risk to it because he didn't shine on the moment his first year campus. He had some huge games, though. He did have games where he put over 40. Now, if you place him, in my opinion, with LeBron and Irving, and you bring in another player in there too, I think he shines. Because he's sitting there, he's not taking a bunch of heat.
Pardon the pun.
He's literally going in there and saying, okay, people aren't even going to recognize him. Then he's going to start putting up big numbers, and then suddenly he can start switching spots with LeBron come 3-4 years later.
Kind
when
of
LeBron hits
like what
34.
Kind of like what they're trying to do with Johnny Manziel, Brian Hoyer. Coming off the knee surgery, keep it comfortable, keep it. He's got a command of the offense, and provided he's healthy, they can give Johnny Manziel some cover to at least get his game together, as opposed to all of a sudden you have to be the guy and you're just not ready, and you get creamed by the media, the spotlight, the pressure, kind of like Anthony Bennett last year, number 1 pick, a lot of
Bennett
potential.
just wasn't ready. I don't think that had to do with anything with pressure. I think it was just the fact that he wasn't ready physically.
Yeah, that's true.
I
Coming off
think
the
it was more of
injury,
his
and they
physical
didn't
makeup,
play
not
him.
even mental. Physically, he just wasn't there. It'd be like me going around and playing with a bunch of college athletes when I'm sitting there myself, as I'm not nearly good at playing college, yet it's just because I'm out of shape. It's like literally me going to run a marathon when I haven't ran in 9 months.
Yeah, probably not a wise move, and that's maybe why Mike Brown kept him on the bench as long as he did for most of the year. Zach, so then basically we're looking at Andrew Wiggins as a possible LeBron James potential, Jabari Parker, the scoring machine and perennial all-star, maybe the Carmelo Anthony, and then Embiid, if healthy, a possible superstar Hall of Famer, maybe like Dwayne Wade, but might break down a little quicker with the back issues. Am I close?
Yeah, and the fact that, yes, you are close. Like I said, this draft has a lot of talent. This is one of these drafts where I feel that if you're at the top, bearing an injury, I don't think you can get it wrong in the top 3 picks. As long as there's no injury and all those 3 of those guys are healthy, you're getting a star, I believe.
And all right, so king for a day. Who do you take?
Wiggins might take a little bit longer to develop. But like I said, I think his potential is out there. I think it's so high. And like I said, the problem is nowadays, centers aren't the game-changing face they used to be in the NBA. Centers don't sit there and dominate anymore. It's not a center's league anymore.
Could it be again, though?
I don't think so. I think the point guards are too athletic. I think the point guards are too athletic. I think the small forwards are too athletic. I don't think it's not a tough man's league anymore. It's more of a finesse speed game at this point.
So your pick, number 1, of course the Cavs pick is going to be whoever LeBron James tells him if he says he's coming back. But if that's not the case, 1 pick, who do you take? Putting you to it.
It all depends on Embiid's back and what I need. If I'm the Cavaliers, I really couldn't tell you at this point.
All right. You know what? What do we have?
It's one of these things going up to the draft. I could not tell you at this point who I want. I haven't seen either one. I have not. Joel Embiid you will not see him at any personal workouts. He's working out for one team right now and one team only.
Yeah.
And that's the issue with it. The thing is, if the Cavaliers decide to pass up, Milwaukee might not know what they're getting.
Well, you know what? We have another couple weeks to figure it out. When is the draft? Is it the 23rd or 24th or something?
26.
26. All right, well, we got about 2 weeks, just a little under 2 weeks. We can talk about it next week. I'll give you a week to make your final prognostication, and we will, hopefully we'll know who the championship is going home to, where the trophy is belonging in the NBA. It's looking like the Spurs. We'll find out then. But, Zach, we got to run, man. We always appreciate having you on the program, and we'll be talking with you again soon, buddy. Thanks for taking the time again.
Thanks again, Brian. I appreciate it.
All right, take care, Zach. Follow him on Twitter. He's at Zak Baris. We'll be back on the other side. We're talking about a whole bunch of craziness in the world of politics on the other side on Agree to Disagree.